it has been 10 years, one whole decade now since The Light at the End was released by Big Finish, their 50th anniversary story written by Nicholas Briggs, featuring the first eight Doctors in a way, mainly highlighting the fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth. And it's wonderful, I think,
For
looking back at
many,
it.
for
Yeah.
many, this is their 50th anniversary, isn't it?
Mm.
For many people said this is how we celebrate Doctor Who, because obviously Day of the Doctor's more of a New Three celebration, isn't it? Whereas I think this is
Yeah.
one for the classic fans going, this is a celebration of those first eight Doctors.
Yeah, it was a point of contention at the time, wasn't it? Where people were saying, "Oh, like the Day of the Doctor, great celebratory story, celebrating a whole 8 years of the revival," was at
Hmm.
the time. And yeah, I mean, certainly now I think we've mellowed a bit in those sort of opinions, and we can appreciate both really because there was room for both at the time
Yeah.
to have these two very different celebrations of the same show. And I think in a way that makes sense because Doctor Who has such variety in it anyway
Yeah.
that, why would you want two celebrations exactly the same? If you want your big classic Who dump, that's what you have here. And it all comes together wonderfully looking back. It's funny, we're in the middle of towards the end of Once a Future at the moment.
Yeah. We're
And
one
it's funny
release away.
comparing, yeah, just how different these two feel. And again, that's the thing. They're anniversary stories, but they don't have to feel the same. This is your more traditional anniversary story, though, with, a multi-doctor team up. It's the first time Tom Baker's been involved in something like this.
Yeah, that's the
Baker.
main thing, isn't it? I think that's one
Yeah.
of the drawing factors for people to get Tom in a multi-doctor story, and what a hoot he's having within it, especially with
Mm.
McGann.
Yeah, because for a while it seemed like something that he'd never do, at
Mm.
conventions and stuff. He was always very separate. Often when other doctors talk about, their doctor, they will say, "Oh, I'm Doctor Number 7," or
Mm.
"I'm Old 60." But for Tom, he was just the Doctor. That's how he
Yeah,
sees it.
I'm
He
Doctor
doesn't
Who.
see himself as the fourth Doctor, does he?
Yeah, he is just
And
the definite article in his own head.
mm, yeah, and so it's wonderful here having him join up with these other doctors. Not long after joining Big Finish, like his first story came out at the start of 2012, didn't it?
Yes.
And now we're in 2013 with this story. It's almost feels like common fare now, doesn't it? Like we've had Out of Time, we've had
Mm.
Legacy of Time, lots of times there,
Yeah.
where he's been interacting with the other doctors. He's been doing for Big Finish for 10 years now. It seems like he's in and out of that studio every other day at this point.
Yeah, pretty much every day he's there.
Yeah, or well, not for the studio now. I think he does most of his recording at home, but nevertheless, it
Yeah.
seems like he's
He's always there.
very much kept busy by Big Finish, and I think he's loving every minute of getting to be the Doctor again.
Mm.
Uh, but yeah, here, he's mainly with Paul McGann, isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah,
What a
and
bromance they have.
yeah, they're wonderful. And it's funny looking back at this time, thinking there wasn't actually that much McGann going on. Like, I think this
No.
is the only release he's in 2013 because he was very busy with other projects at the time.
Yeah, and you've got the return of India Fisher,
Yes.
Charlie. So this is sort of it caters for sort of every type of fan because I think for many people have said this is a good jumping on point, and I guess we'll answer that at the end whether this is a good jumping on point for Big Finish. It kind of gives you a flavour of this is what Big Finish Doctor Who is with Eight and Charlie. Because that's how the story
Yeah.
starts off with. It starts off, this is what we can do on audio. And then it
Mm.
brings in the other doctors one by one.
Yeah, it does. And I love how that's all handled, the weaving of the different stories, because it very much adds a sense of scale to this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, the premise is that there is, the Master has set out to rid the universe of the Doctor once and for all. And so while the TARDIS is traveling through the 23rd of November, 1963, Barnesfield Crescent, Tottenhamshire, England. I think, is it 5:03 the time?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, like that particular point in time, suddenly the whole TARDIS seems to be shaking itself apart. Every
A
Doctor
red
is
light keeps
experiencing
appearing.
this. Yeah, mysterious red light is warning them away. But of course, they're the Doctor. They're going to come along and investigate this bizarre occurrence, and each of them go about in a slightly different way, which adds to the variety of this story. And yeah, I quite like how they deal with that. How Nick is able to, show off their different personalities through that. Really,
Yes. I think he balances it pretty well with all the Doctors, really.
and then meanwhile, you've got poor old Bob Dovey, played by
John Dorney.
John Dorney. Yeah. Having the worst day of his life.
Yeah.
All while TARDIS seems to have crashed in his garden. So,
It feels very
Yeah,
sort
or
of
on top-
Stephen Moffat-y, doesn't it? It feels very sort of Amy Pond.
yeah, I mean, we've got the shed there.
Yeah,
Well, the shed getting destroyed as well.
yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely. So again, it does feel like it's trying to celebrate all of Doctor Who, even though, again, at this time, it feels bizarre to say it now because we've had so much new series content. But 2013, Big Finish's license only included up to the Eighth Doctor.
Mm.
So there was, and it was very strict. It seemed at the time, like they couldn't even they couldn't even say the word Time War, could they, or hint at anything beyond that. Yeah, and so, yeah,
And it's an interesting sort of time capsule because this is the first time we have Tim Treloar playing the Third Doctor.
And he sounds remarkably good in hindsight.
Yeah.
Like you recognise. I thought he had completely redone his performance for the later box sets. And I think he definitely has put a lot more work into the voice over the years and has really perfected, the Pertwee mannerisms. But, it's not like it was a bad starting point.
No.
I think I still recognise.
Yeah.
I think partially because now we're so used to him as the Doctor, we're not necessarily scrutinising this as a impression, as I think we were at the time. I mean, I feel like he's doing a better job than Apologies, but William Russell as the first Doctor feels a bit
Get away,
off,
child.
really. I feel like of the two that they usually use, Peter Purvis would have been the better choice.
Yeah.
I think he channels the first Doctor more when he comes to those later early adventures.
Yeah, you get the twinkle, I think, whereas I think William Russell just probably homes it on the grump.
Yeah. I feel like just almost generic old man voice.
Yes.
Again, sorry, William Russell. Yeah. I mean, he does get a little bit to do in there as Ian as well, because there's lots of cameos throughout
I
this.
was surprised because I forgot about Sarah Kingdom being in it. That was a low surprise. I think it sort of celebrates every sort of decade of classic Doctor Who, even though it's very small. It's there.
Yeah, I mean, you got a little Black Guardian reference as well when Turlough pops up. Yeah, I love how they're all interweaved, but they don't feel purely like fan service. It's very much like the Five Doctors, how those phantoms come into the story. They're there to serve a purpose in a way and make it feel more like a celebration, which is bizarre. When you look at the size of the cast list for this one, it's huge. And then you look at some of the Once and Future stuff and you think, you're almost surprised that they aren't squeezing more cameos in to Once and Future. But it's done wonderfully here.
I think as well, Light at the End has its own identity because it has its own theme tune as well.
And it's a wonderful one.
Yeah, it feels very much like what the 60th theme is in a way. It sort of gives me that sort of feel, what we've got with what Russell's done with the new theme with the 60th specials.
Yeah, I can see that a little bit. I feel like there's just so much to love about this as a whole. Just that anniversary feel, I felt brought right back down to it, Like, not just the theme, but the music as a whole for this story has a very epic quality to it. I think the scale that they're able to achieve from the different Doctors' viewpoints is rather wonderful. Meanwhile, you got Jeffrey Beavers as the Master, who almost feels a bit left out in the cold these days, doesn't he?
Yeah, we've got
But
Derek Jacobi, we've got now Sasha Dewan. Yeah, it's a nice sort of celebration to have him there, because he was the only master they had, really.
yeah,
And
I mean
guess
that and Alex
McQueen.
McQueen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or actually, oh yeah, he would have done
Yeah,
Unit Dominion.
Dominion,
At this
yeah.
point, wouldn't it? But yeah, I mean, it would have mainly been Jeffrey Beavers as like recognizable as the Master, because obviously you don't have Roger Delgado or Anthony Ainley there. Recasting still a bit of a subject for Big Finish
Yeah.
at this point in time. They're only just pushing the boat out with the third Doctor, really, at this point.
You wouldn't hear him for another 2 years.
No, not fully. That's true. And certainly this, but I suppose it was almost a testing the waters of it, wasn't it? Yeah, I love the Doctor Companion combinations in this as well. Because as you say, it's this sort of like for a jumping on point to Big Finish. It's nice that it's showing off the Big Finish strengths in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it always feels like they'd be basic choices now, but I think because at this point they hadn't been used as much, they're a good shout, really.
It's taking the familiar, isn't it? Especially because they probably knew a lot of people are going to be jumping on this because it's the 50th anniversary. Take something that so it's easy for people who are not into it, can easily picture it.
Yeah, I mean, you got the Fourth Doctor and Leela. And Leela has been featured very heavily in the early few series of the Fourth Doctor Adventures. So it feels like that makes sense as sort of like a gateway into what they're doing with Leela there. Fifth Doctor and Nyssa, I suppose partially because, I think they don't want it to be too crowded.
Yeah.
And so they're going for the choices where it can be just the one companion. And for the Fifth Doctor, it's either Nyssa solo or Perry solo, or I suppose Turlough solo as well.
It's a nice little hark back to early Big Finish with the Fifth Doctor Nyssa, because that's kind of how it started for him.
Yeah, it is. And then Sixth Doctor and Perry, of course. And again, that's probably why Perry wasn't with the Fifth Doctor, because she's with the Sixth. And then Seventh Doctor and Ace, presumably very early on for them, actually.
Yeah, because Ace doesn't know about regeneration. That's a nice fun moment when Ace is naming the Doctors.
Yeah, Joseph in his Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Yeah.
But also, she doesn't recognise the Master.
No.
Like, not even by name. So this is pre-survival as well. She's going around the Nitro 9 too. And then, of course, Eighth Doctor and Charlie, they're sort of, again, highlighted on a bit more early on. So I think you can get to know them a bit better because they're the ones that, fans going into this would probably know the least if they're not big on Big Finish.
And they'd be wanting to experience the backstory.
Yeah.
So that's probably the most likely place you'll go after Light at the end, I would say.
Yeah. And so, yeah, as we've already said, McGann and Tom Baker get to spend quite a bit of time together, and they've got a wonderful romance going on there.
Yeah. I could have a whole box set of that.
Yeah. I mean, they're very dominant in part one as well, I'd say. I do love how, similar to the Five Doctors, it doesn't throw them all together too early on. It sort of saves that for the big finale, really. But nevertheless, you do have them crossing paths a bit before. The Fifth Doctor is mostly on his own with Nyssa, having some rather creepy moments, really. It's nice how,
more of a human side of it.
Yeah, with Bob Dovey. And certainly some horror in there as well. I think it's nice how, again, it's being
Very
able
twisted.
to highlight, the whole tone of Doctor Who, how much range it has. But it never feels totally inconsistent within the story. Like, through the different Doctors, you're getting different flavours of what Doctor Who can be. And how, it's this wonderful melting pot, really, of all these different ideas coming together.
Yeah.
And then part two of the story is very much early on focusing on the Sixth and Seventh Doctors, really. And I think the Sixth Doctor is particularly well served in part two.
I think that's all down to, obviously, fan perception. His TV stuff's not great. Colin's not a great Doctor. And I think this is Nick highlighting, no, Colin's brilliant. This is why you should check him out on audio. He's amazing.
It's showing how far that character has come
Yes.
since the start of Big Finish, really, isn't it? And being able to celebrate that. But, yeah, I think that's wonderful. Yeah, it was just a warm, cozy feeling, I think, listening to this one.
It's very much the same feeling you get with any multi-Doctor thing, but I think that this has such a scale and scope to it. And everything,
it does it very well.
Yeah, every little cog the Doctor is in the big overarching story. It all links together, and it just feels very satisfying.
Just makes you smile.
Yeah, and I think that's the main thing you want from an anniversary. You want to feel warm, fuzzy, and go, "Oh, this is why I love Doctor." And I think Light at the End kind of encapsulates that, really.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, we'll put it out there that I think for both of us, we didn't listen to this straight when it dropped on October 23rd, 2013. I mean, we weren't quite into Big Finish yet at that point. Yeah, we got into it like 14, 15, really. Right, yeah. But at what point did you pick up Light at the End? How early on into that?
I picked it up probably a month in to me being regular. I got it April 2014.
Oh, wow. So yeah, fairly early on. Was it your first McGann experience?
No. I'd done some of the Lucy stuff and a bit of Charlie.
Had you experienced was this your first experience of any of those Doctors on audio?
No.
Or had you already covered each of them?
I think maybe Davison, because I was a bit slow on getting the Fifth Doctor stuff.
Which we now, of course, love.
Yeah, he's sort of become my favourite Big Finish Doctor.
I mean, for me, I think maybe 2015 even, or late 2014. I know it was on sale. I know it dropped down to about £10 from the usual 15. I only went for the standard edition. Shame on me. But so it's funny now doing it closer to the time of the anniversary, really, and being able to appreciate it in that mindset.
Yeah.
Because before I was just similar to when you first watched the Five Doctors, I suppose, for us. Like, if I did watch the Five Doctors for the first time around the anniversary, it was purely coincidental.
Yeah.
And also, I think when you're younger, you don't quite appreciate the anniversary dates either, do you?
No.
It's too much of a big concept at that age.
There's more of an event now when you go into an anniversary.
Yeah. But nevertheless, it was hugely exciting listening to it for the first time. And looking back now, I appreciate it even more. I think I enjoyed it even more on this listen, to be honest. Like, it's been so long and it's got so many wonderful moments. Each Doctor has their own chance to shine. Same with each companion. Loads of wonderful little cameo moments within there as well. It just makes me smile.
It's an anniversary done right. I think that's the main thing with it.
Yeah. What would you give it out of 10?
Oh, because it's the anniversary, I feel very generous.
I'm feeling 9, to be honest. I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to say a 9.
Yeah, it's the right time of year to pick it up as well, if you've not dived into Light at the End before.
And I'm sure it'll be on sale very soon. If not, it's on sale now.
I mean, it's not too big a commitment either to get through.
No.
I say it's not like something mammoth-sized like Once and Future. This is fairly contained. It's your 2-hour story. Easy to dive into, really, and just have a good time with. That's what I'd recommend doing. It's certainly
a jumping on point, I would say. I think it's still a good jumping on point. I still stand by that point.
Yeah, I'd say so as well. Yeah, to really get a flavour for all the Doctors and then seeing where you might want to go next if you've not dived into much Big Finish before it. Yeah, and if you're someone who has had this for a while, you listen to it way back when, I'd recommend sticking it back on. Have a good time again. Now that the anniversary is rolling around, perfect excuse. You will not regret it. I think wonderful stuff, this one.
Yeah, it's been a joy to revisit. It's been a joy.
I'm
to
glad
revisit.
we did it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for you, it was a bit of a different experience, wasn't it? Because you stuck on your vinyl that you got
Yeah,
not too long ago.
I finally got the vinyl for it, and I was like, this is the perfect opportunity to give it a go. So it was interesting having it divided up differently.
Yeah,
And
because it's like 4 parts, isn't it, rather than the usual two?
yeah, so it was sort of interesting experience it as a four-parter, and it works quite well actually. So it's very much got the new series and classic cut version of Light at the End.
Yeah, it's wonderful stuff, isn't it? To be able to have that. And I suppose it's a very special experience as well, I imagine, listen to it on vinyl. I think I'm a
Especially
bit
the
priced
crackle.
out of that. Yeah.
Mm.
And so it suits these celebratory stories, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So let us know what you think of Light at the End in the comments below if you've heard it.
Mm.
You know, if you rate it as highly as we do, what are some of your favourite moments, perhaps? Which Doctor do you think is best served in it? Yeah, let us know. Leave a like while you're down there and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you all for watching.
Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Take care of
Bye.
yourselves.